guys, it's Real Low Bermuda here, bringing you another lawn care video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the basic must-haves in every home arsenal. Alright guys, so probably chose the absolute worst day to try to make this video. We got every dog in the neighborhood barking. We got neighbors mowing. We've got community landscapers mowing. We've got 1,000 cars and trucks passing by. But we're going to see how this comes out, and hopefully the sound is okay. So today I wanted to talk to you about just some basic must-haves that I feel like every homeowner should have in their lawn care arsenal. I get a lot of questions like, what do you use? What should I use? What do you recommend? So I'm going to make just one basic video on some things that I think everyone could benefit from, and it doesn't have to be these brands or these anything specific other than just some basic lawn care know-how. So we're going to take a look at kind of what I use. And as you can see, I've got a spreader and a liquid sprayer. And so first off, I think everybody needs to have both of those. And you can definitely get a cheap Scott's spreader from Home Depot or Walmart. I feel like the Earthway was a good fit for me and my budget. It's kind of like a middle of the road type sprayer. It's got good pneumatic tires and really spreads very evenly. And then I went with one of the better sprayers on the market that you can get, because I use that every couple of weeks, sometimes every week. And so it's the My 4 Sons 4.5 gallon sprayer, backpack, easy to carry, and does a great job. So to start with, you need to have a sprayer, even if it's just a 1 gallon, $10 sprayer from Walmart. That'll get the job done. But obviously a backpack sprayer that you don't have to pump, that's battery operated, is going to save you a lot of time and effort. So beyond the actual tools, let's dig into what you need to start with, which right now in the early spring is on everybody's mind, and that's weed control. So to begin with, the basics of any weed control plan, you need to have a pre-emergent thrown down every spring and every fall. What this is going to do is it's going to make sure that you don't have a lot of weeds to deal with in the first place, because when those weeds go down to seed, or when you have seeds like from your neighbor's yard blow into your yard, those seeds will never have a chance to actually germinate and become weeds. And so the best pre-emergent on the market is prodiamine, and I use the Quality Pro. I buy most of my stuff on the website Do My Own. I feel like it's a good resource. I typically use Amazon for a lot of things, but for whatever reason Amazon doesn't ship these type of herbicides to my address, so I go with domyown.com. So prodiamine for pre-emergent, spring and fall, you got to have it. Then the next basic weed preventer or herbicide post-emergent. So once the weed has grown, you just need a basic 2,4-D. And what you see here is the Ortho Weed Be Gone, and I actually kind of create my own combination with that. But ultimately, any 2,4-D brand is going to work. And then what I'll do, if you notice this one, it says it comes with crabgrass control. I don't really believe that. At least it hasn't been effective. So what I do is I buy quinclorac, and that's great for crabgrass. It's one of the only things I've found to control that. And I actually just mix it in with the 2,4-D, and we'll use that at the same time. The surfactant there, what that does is it just basically helps everything stick to the actual weed. And then the good old-fashioned weed puller here, for any weeds that get by. I still think getting out in your yard a few times a week and just pulling anything that pops up is a great method. So but ultimately that's going to knock out almost all weeds that you come across. One thing I forgot to bring out was sedge hammer. Sedge hammer is for any time you have nut sedge come up in your yard, which is something pretty common. Again, I get that on either Do My Own, or you can actually get that on Amazon, I believe. All right, so let's move over to the actual feeding part. So there's always you're dealing with your weeds on one end, and then you want to deal with your turf nutrition on the other. So if I were to identify and just tell the basic homeowner, you know, that you need to have one thing that you can throw down, only one thing, and that would be a good nitrogen fertilizer. In this case, I would recommend Milorganite. Milorganite can be bought just about anywhere, but it's becoming less and less available, and it's getting more and more expensive. There's other things on the market similar to it, but I still feel like Milorganite is a great product because you can't really mess it up. So if you put down too much, if you put it down when it's too hot, if you don't water it in, you do water it in, doesn't make any difference. Like it's going to be basically a foolproof thing that you can throw down in your yard, and you're going to see results. Now it is a slow release, so it won't happen overnight, but after about 2 weeks you'll start to see results. And if you put it down every month, then you'll have a continuous slow release that will be feeding over and over and over again. It's not one of those things you can really throw down when you need it because it takes so long, but if you put it down every month, you're going to see great results. And so if that's the only thing you put on your yard all year long, you'd be ahead of the game. Like, in my opinion, don't throw down your Scott's Weed and Feed and your basic things like that. I just don't feel like those are going to be very beneficial. All right, and so then we get into not necessarily the must-haves anymore, but more of the we'll get into the extras now, and that is going to be the next line of biostimulants. And these are liquids that I put down once a month, spoon feeding. And so what I'll do typically is I'll put down this line of biostimulants, and then 2 weeks later I'll put down a microdose of Milorganite. 2 weeks later, a microdose of biostimulants. And so every 2 weeks I'm alternating between Milorganite and biostimulant. So basically I'm putting each product down once a month, but every 2 weeks I'm putting one or the other. All right, so the biostimulants, these are fantastic because what these do is these actually go into the soil, because everything starts from the soil. If you've got bad soil, it doesn't matter what you put on top of the turf, it's not going to do well. And so these work to get all the microorganisms in the soil working well. The Humic 12 is a cleator, the RGS, root growth stimulator, both of those things work in the soil with the roots. And then the aerate is exactly what it says there. It's a liquid aeration. So in other words, you don't need to go rent an aerator or have someone come out and aerate and tear up your lawn. This actually does a remarkable job at kind of breaking apart the soil, which allows the nutrients to get down in there. It also allows the water to get down into the soil. And then the microgreen, this is just a bunch of micronutrients. And you can kind of see the list there of all the little things that it has, but one of the most important things it has is a good dose of iron, which is also something that the Milorganite has iron in it. And so every couple of weeks I'm throwing down a small dose of iron. And so when I talk about spoon feeding, what I'm saying is basically don't try to throw something down once a season. If you try to throw something down once every 3 months, you know, every spring, every summer, every fall, there's not really a product on the market that's going to last that long, especially in Texas. When you talk about the extreme conditions of the Texas climate, we're talking about 100-degree plus heat throughout the summer. Sometimes it's flooding, rain, sometimes we never get any rain, and you can't expect a little tiny prill, you know, smaller than a BB, to be able to last for 3 months. Plus, when you have you know, big downpours, a lot of that gets washed off. And so if you let's say you throw down Scott's Weed and Feed in the spring, and you throw it down again in the summer, right? Twice. You're feeding your lawn 2 times over a 6-month period. That just doesn't make any sense. Your lawn needs constant nutrition, constant feeding, just like our bodies, right? We wouldn't want to feed our bodies, you know, once every 7 days. You know, we could probably survive 7 days without food, right? But we wouldn't want to just eat once every 7 days before we die. We want to keep ourselves thriving and living, and so we eat frequently. Some of us a little too frequently, right? But no, with the lawn, same thing. Is like every couple weeks you need to be out there observing what's going on in your yard and staying on top of the nutrition. Obviously you can overdo things, right? If you go put down a bunch of nitrogen every couple weeks, yeah, you might burn up the lawn and do some damage, right? So it's not just a matter of the more the better, but it's the frequency and giving it just enough nutrition to thrive. And that's what these biostimulants from the n-ext line are great for, and that's what Milorganite, being a slow release fertilizer, is great for. I'm also going to throw down here, just coming off of my spring scalp, I'm going to be throwing down a couple more products that aren't shown here from n-ext. I'm going to be throwing down the green effect and the green punch, which is going to do exactly what it says. It's going to give me that green punch right now in early spring, when everybody else's lawns are dormant for probably at least another month, looking brown and awful. I'm going to be coming out of dormancy, you know, any day now. I've already got about maybe 30% green up in the lawn just from the scalp that I did. I scalped down to just over 4/10 of an inch. Planning on maintaining it at about 6/10 of an inch throughout the year. But ultimately I'm going to make a separate video on those two products. But there's a lot of things you can do with the lawn. There's a lot of products out there, but ultimately a basic nitrogen fertilizer. Sometimes you need some PK, you know, get a soil test to kind of see maybe if you have any drastic needs. I did a soil test last year, being a brand new neighborhood. I actually lived here for 2.5 years now, so it's not brand new anymore, but still fairly new. See the noise that goes by. But ultimately it's not a matter of finding a secret product. It's a matter of spending time in your lawn, being diligent, frequent mowing, which I'll talk about in another video. But it really is important. If you like what I'm doing here, if you like the kind of the free tips and advice that I'm giving to help you have a great lawn, it's important that you hit that subscribe button. Because if I'm taking time to post these videos and nobody's really watching them, you know, obviously I'm just going to worry about my lawn and not offer help. But I do want to be helpful, and people ask questions all the time, so I know you guys want to know this information. And so if you would, you don't need to pay me any money, just return the favor by hitting that subscribe button, and it just shows me that, yeah, you appreciate what I'm doing and you want me to continue to do it. And every week or so I'm going to get out here in the lawn and kind of show you what I'm doing and show the progress, maybe show you also some struggles that I'm having. By no means am I an expert. I just see what works, and if it doesn't work, I switch to something else until I find, you know, by now I have kind of have it figured out on what works, when it works. So I'm going to just share that advice with you. That way everyone deserves to have an awesome lawn, and if you are willing to put the time in and do the work, it'll happen for you too. You don't have to have any special lawn, special soil. You can work with what you have and get out there and enjoy a nice green lush lawn. This is Real Low Bermuda tuning out. See you next week.